Hello, this is the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Thank you so much for tuning into this video in which we will review what was covered in week 2. So week 2 was all about triangles. So if we look at this diagram here, we're going to use it to figure out what would be the sum of the three angles inside a triangle. So firstly, note X, Y, and Z are supplementary angles. They must add up to 180 degrees, which is the angle made by a straight line. But also note, because this line and this line are parallel, this angle here and this angle here must be equal. So I'm going to call this one X as well. The reason these two angles are equal is they are alternate. Similarly, these two angles are also alternate and therefore must be equal. But I said X plus Y plus Z equals 180 degrees. I could have drawn this diagram with any triangle. Doesn't matter how it looks, I can always draw a line parallel to its base. So X plus Y plus Z is 180 degrees. In any triangle, the sum of the three angles is 180 degrees. We can use this to find unknown angles. So we're still doing deductive geometry. We're finding the value of angles without actually measuring them. So in this triangle, to find X is very simple. Each of these three angles must add up to 180 degrees. So X is just simply going to be 180 minus 90 minus 32. Remember, this symbol here means right angle, which is 90 degrees. So 90 plus 32 is 122. How much more do I need to get to 180? That is, of course, 58 degrees. That is the value of X without actually measuring it. Right, let's now look at classifying triangles. So when we classify triangles, we're basically saying which type of triangle we have. To classify triangles, we need to give it one of three possible side names and one of three possible angle names. So the side names of a triangle tell us how many equal sides there are. So triangle is called scalene if it has no equal sides, isosceles if it has two equal sides, and equilateral if all of its sides are equal. So note the number of equal sides and number of equal angles are always the same. So this means if you have a scalene triangle, no equal sides, it means that none of its angles will be equal. If you have an isosceles triangle which has two equal sides, it will also have two equal angles. It turns out that these two angles are equal. This is where the equal sides meet the non-equal sides. So note that's what these dashes mean here. These two sides are equal. So for an equilateral triangle, it has three equal sides. That means it will have three equal angles. So because the angle sum of any triangle is 180 degrees, the angles in an equilateral triangle are always 60 degrees. So that's how we give triangles a side name. What about an angle name? Well, as I said, the angle sum of any triangle is 180 degrees. That leaves us with three options. A triangle can have one obtuse angle, one right angle, or all acute angles. A triangle can never have more than one right angle or more than one obtuse angle, because then its angles would add to more than 180 degrees. So when classifying triangles, we use a combination of side names and angle names. Now note, an equilateral triangle, because its angles are 60 degrees, it's always acute angled. But scalene and isosceles triangles can be acute angled, right angled, or obtuse angled. There are different types of isosceles triangles and different types of scalene triangles. You could, for instance, have a right angled isosceles or an acute angled scalene. That's how we classify triangles. All right, let's now look at a question where we will have to determine which type of triangle we have. So let's say I have a triangle where one angle is 30 degrees, one angle is 120 degrees. What type of triangle do we have? So just drawing a picture, it will look like this. It's obviously going to be obtuse angled because 120 degrees is an obtuse angle. So if this angle is 120 degrees and this angle up here is 30 degrees, then what would be this angle here? Well, the three angles have to add to 180, so this would be 30 degrees as well. 120 plus 30 is 180 degrees. So this triangle has two equal angles. That means it would have two equal sides. It turns out those two sides would be equal. So what type of triangle do we have? Well, as I said before, it's definitely obtuse angled because it has an obtuse angle, and because it has two equal angles and two equal sides, it must be isosceles. So we can use the properties of triangles to help us find unknown angles as well. So what would be the value of x in this diagram below? Well, this is an isosceles triangle. It has two equal sides, and so it will have two equal angles. This angle and this angle will be equal, so I'll call this x. So here I have all three angles. Two of them are x, one's 20. They must add to 180 degrees. So solving this equation, I get 2x plus 20 equals 180. Subtract 20 from both sides, and then divide by 2, I get x is equal to 80 degrees, because 80 plus 80 plus 20 is 180. All right, let's now look at the exterior angle of a triangle. So the exterior angle of a triangle is actually outside the triangle. So if I have a triangle like this, and I'm going to extend one of its lines here, this angle here is an exterior angle of the triangle. It's outside. So it turns out this angle here, if I call it x, it's equal to the sum of these two angles. Why is that? Well, I know that x and this angle here, which I'm going to call c, these two angles add to 180, but c also adds with those to get to 180. That's why this one is equal to these two added up. So if I have a question like this where I need to find x, 130 degrees is the exterior angle, so it's the sum of these two angles, so x must be equal to 60 degrees. Another way to see that, this angle here must be 50 degrees because these two angles are supplementary and make a straight line. So 70 plus 50 is 120. X must be 60 degrees. All right, thank you so much for tuning into this video. This has been the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Have a great day.